More than $2.5 billion in federal stimulus money has been allocated to Oklahoma. But how can you be sure your money is being spent correctly and not being misused and that it's actually doing some good? Federal agencies are teaming up to do just that. Joining us this morning is Tom Daxon with the Oklahoma Council of Public Affairs. Tom, good to see you, sir. How are you doing this morning?
Rich, I'm doing great. It's great to be with you.
Fantastic. Okay, I want to begin with this. Tell me more about your organization. Now, is this a private watchdog group? Is it a public entity? And who funds it?
Well, the Oklahoma Council of Public Affairs, and I actually do some research for them from time to time, is a public nonprofit organization that researches public affairs, and that's the reason for the name of the organization.
Now, in some of the work that's being done by this group, obviously you're looking for misuse of funds. Are you also concerned with, are these funding projects creating jobs? Do you track job creation in this?
We don't track job creation specifically, but we certainly attempt to look at public issues and the impact on the economy and how that can make us more prosperous, create more opportunities for people.
And I just bring that up because when this $700 billion plan was announced, it was all about, if you recall, the president saying jobs, jobs, jobs. So I'm always curious if a job, for example, the other day, the universities, I believe, announced there would be no tuition hikes because they were going to use some federal stimulus dollars, and I was trying to figure out exactly how that's going to stimulate the economy. Do you look at issues like that?
Well, we do, and I say we do, OCPA, different people there will look at different things. I think the thing you have to remember, though, with job creation and federal money is the federal government has to get the money from someplace, and either they take it away from someone else, which tends to hurt our economy, or if we just create money, which of course the federal government can do, we run the risk of creating inflationary pressures, which will come back to bite us down the road.
Is that something you obviously sound concerned about that? Do you think that's occurred with this particular stimulus plan?
I'm very concerned about it, and not just particularly this stimulus plan, but any time the government spends more money, they're either going to have to raise taxes, which in some instances winds up being self-defeating, or they're going to have to create more money, and you create more money, and that builds inflationary pressures. And we'll be very fortunate if we don't see a return of some inflationary pressure as a result.
Well, I would certainly think that Senator Dr. Tom Coburn would be an ally of yours from what I'm hearing. Obviously, he's been it's interesting. He's been very critical of some projects, but then just yesterday, I guess he was positive with the speed in which the stimulus dollars are getting into the Oklahoma economy. Would you agree with that?
Well, and first of all, Senator Coburn is a very thoughtful representative that we have there, and I admire him greatly. But I think when we look at the speed with which these dollars are being spent, we still haven't spent but just a small percentage of what was allocated, and our economy is already returning to the point where we're about to come out of this recession, and yet we've only spent a small percentage of the money.
Do you think at the end of the day, Oklahoma is going to benefit a little, a lot, not much from these federal stimulus dollars?
I think at the end of the day, we would be better off if the federal government had done something else. These stimulus programs usually are enacted in something of a panic mode. Legislators or people in Congress feel like they need to show that they are doing something. And unfortunately, they often wind up doing things that have more negative consequences than positive consequences.
Okay,
we'll create a few jobs out of this, but there'll be some downside as well.
Yeah, Tom, I'll tell you what, we're out of time for now. I know you're coming back in our next hour, and you mentioned the federal government might have tried to do something else. When we bring you back, I'd like to see if you might offer some alternative solutions to what the president's plan is. So we'll rejoin you a little bit. Does that sound good to you?
Sounds great.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Tom Daxon. And obviously part of what they're doing is making sure the money's spent right. So if you know of suspected cases of fraud or abuse with these federal stimulus dollars, you can call 1-877-259-7337. Obviously, Tom Daxon coming from this from, I would say, a conservative point of view. I think that's probably safe to say.